Hello, everyone. This is Shaista Ismail. I'm the founder director of Flamont World School as well as the Florida Montessori Center. And I welcome you to another episode of Educator Speak. Educator Speak is an initiative to provide a platform to educators around the world to discuss their thoughts, their coping mechanisms, and of course, provide them with the spotlight they deserve for all the efforts they've been putting into maintaining a sense of normalcy during this current pandemic. So today's episode, however, is very different because today we're going to focus on a very crucial topic revolving around schooling and parents, especially with regard to the fees that is being charged by schools during this time. And to share her thoughts regards the same, I have a very special guest who is known for speaking her mind and how. So in conversation with me is the very inspiring Shabia Walia. Hi Shabia, welcome to Educator Speak.
Hi Shaista, thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
So for our viewers, let me tell you a bit about Shabia. Shabia Walia is the founder owner of Wild Earth, a natural skincare brand. She's also a media professional and has been very active in the field of media for the past 24 years. As an educator, she's been a teacher in the early years of her life, but she continues her love for teaching by educating entrepreneurs through her new venture called Idea to Income Tribe. She's also the author of the best-selling book Mama Mania and dedicatedly runs the Bluebells community, which is focused on helping and serving the underprivileged. She's also the winner of prestigious awards, and Shabia is also a motivational speaker and speaks at many prestigious events. She's recently been appointed the State Director for Confederation of Indian Micro, Small and Medium Industries. So Shabia, an absolute honor to have you on Educator Speak. Thank you for talking to me and taking time from your very busy schedule to do so.
Thank you, Shaista. Education has always been very special to me, and I think somewhere at the end of my life, I think I will always be going back to teaching, and my heart lies in teaching. So thank you for having me. Very privileged to be here. Thank you.
Okay, so let's dive straight into our topic for the day, which is no school, no fees. Okay, so there is this sentiment among the parent community, especially now due to the pandemic, that schools should not be charging fees, as we're not very sure when things will become normal, right? When our kids are going to start coming back to school. So what are your thoughts regards the same?
So we need to see it, in the light of that, whether when we say this, that no school, no fees, are we as professionals also saying that if we are not going to office, we don't want a salary? Are we saying this? That if I am not going to office now for the past 3 months, I am okay if my company or my boss or my workforce stops paying me a salary. So see, we really are in very, very different times. Difficult is one word, but different times. Nobody had anticipated this. It is not of someone's doing. The schools haven't, invented this situation. The parents haven't invented this situation. It's a whole new scenario, and it calls for new approaches and new solutions to it, right? So a blanket thing saying no school, no fees is like saying, okay, we're not going to work, so we don't deserve a salary. Because however much parents believe that, okay, since there's no schooling, there shouldn't be any I think they also have to take view of the fact that teachers have had to really pull themselves up, because however academic teachers actually are very, very scared of technology. That's what I have realized, because they're so much into books and hardcore teaching and the real personal teaching that they always, take a lot of time to catch up on technology. However, most of our schools and most of our teachers have taken the time out in the summers and gotten onto this. They've learned Zoom, they've learned WebEx, they've learned how to operate laptops and get onto the internet, fine. And especially Montessori schools. My daughter goes to a Montessori school, and I know how much effort and focus is there on the physical work material, and how teachers have spent the entire time thinking of an alternative, that what can they bring to the table where the child feels equally engaged. They've even involved the kids to make some of the material by themselves at home, so that the balance is on both sides. So I feel that parents as well as teachers have to take a more 360-degree view approach rather than just putting on blinkers and saying, okay, since there is no physical school, there should be no fees. I mean, there are other alternatives to physical school. And I think both educators and parents need to sit not literally across the table, but across Zoom and figure out a solution which works best for that particular school.
True.
That's
That's right. That's some very valid points that you've raised, Shabia. So, schools at the moment, in fact, this is a very, very sad state of affairs that schools at the moment are shutting down due to non-sustainability. So, what message do you have for such people, for such schools?
See, that's a very sad thing, because I do understand that like a lot of small businesses and micro businesses are shutting down. Schools which are very small and have kept the the sanctity of the education system. If they have to shut down because the parents are not supportive enough or the fees are not coming in, then it's really, really a very sad situation. Because I am someone who doesn't believe in the number of schools in the country. How many good schools are in the country? That is what should be. And if those good schools, by the sheer fact that they are small in size and they have less students, if they're shutting down, then I think more than the educators, it's the loss of the parents and the kids. So so I feel that if any school is facing this threat or this danger of shutting down, I think there can be multifold level of approach. Maybe one is to reach out to the government for some help. The second is they can reach out to the parents itself and say that we are facing a shutdown situation, so can we come to a like, there are so many ways, right? I mean, you can, instead of physical schooling, if you are doing online schooling for a few hours, I'm not saying do it for 10 hours, but even if you can do it for 3 to 4 hours every day, I mean, if the fees, instead of taking the whole fees, if there could be a part of it, or there could be an EMI, like if you're charging 3 lakhs per year, then if you can do a, let's see, educators also have to understand that parents are also not earning during this time. So if there's an EMI situation, or if it can be broken up into 4 installments, okay, maybe school buses are not involved. There are lesser expenses, not significantly, but still, like you said earlier in our conversation, that electricity bills might be low. Paper and other stationery might be less usage. So those kind of things can be passed on to the parents. That discount can be passed on to the parents. And but I don't think school shutting down is really the solution. And if a parent really, really values a school, then I think those parents should get together and help the school in sustaining out these what I should say is about 3 to 6 months of lapse period.
Yeah. So, do you think maybe the government should step in and do something then to help these private unaided schools specifically?
Absolutely. See, the government is doing a lot for at least because I am in the, as you said, I've been appointed the state director for Maharashtra. So I am seeing a lot of help coming from the government for MSME industries, micro, small, and medium. So there are even bank loans. They are offering a moratorium, so there is no EMI. You can actually take an EMI holiday. There are loans being offered. SIDBI is offering loans at lower interest. So I think those same things should be passed on to schools. I mean, why discriminate against schools? If you go to see, for me as a parent, as well as someone who's as an individual too, what is the most important thing I could give my child besides food and shelter? It's education. I mean, the maximum thing a parent spends on is education, right? Because it has so much value. So if that is of so much value, and if our children are the future of tomorrow, then I think the government really, really needs to step in and save the schools who are struggling to handle this new situation.
That's true. That's so right. So I'm sure you're aware of the situation that we are here in Karnataka with the Karnataka government right now putting a ban on all the online sessions, leaving pretty much most of the schools, and yes, I'm talking about the small players as well, high and dry to figure out their way. So what are your thoughts on this complete a blanket ban situation that right now the schools in Karnataka are facing?
Shaista, I think it has just been a very hurried decision without much thought. I think there was a section of parents who was raising this whole question of studying online, yeah, and I think the government has quickly, just in the in the whole hurry of giving a solution, uh, I think any solution which comes out for any industry or for any matter has to be keeping in view the both the sides or both the parties. So this decision cannot really be taken in isolation. I mean, what would have been a correct way would be to get all the educators of Karnataka, maybe at least all the representatives of the schooling system, get them to sit across the table and discuss how best can they come up with a solution which does not hamper either parties. By either parties, I mean the students and the educators, and the parents as well. Now, the thing is, I really want to put out a question there, and I am a parent of a 11-year-old too. That how many parents can really put their hand on their heart and say that they absolutely their child does not do any screen time at all, like they don't give their mobiles to their kids, or their child is not watching TV since there is no schooling. Personally, I would say that I am all for online learning. Online learning, when done judiciously and planned in a planned out manner, is very helpful. And frankly, I have seen being seen my daughter. I'm seeing my daughter every day. She's so disciplined. She gets up at 7:30 on her own. Does her work. They have frequent breaks. They have eye exercises. They do yoga in between just to keep the movement going. After every 30-40 minute presentation, the teacher asks them to take 5 rounds of the house and come back. So teachers that way have been very, very conscientious of that children do need movement. And but imagine if there was no such thing, then imagine the parents are on Zoom calls because they are working for their office. What is the child doing then? What is the child doing then? Either he is on TV, he's watching TV, or he's on the mobile, or he's chatting with his friends on WhatsApp, and which I don't approve of. All these things I don't approve of. I would rather he or she study on screen, done in a proper manner, rather than sitting and wasting his time the whole day. And I also feel, especially parents like me who have only one single child, what do we do? How do we keep them engaged? So when they have a proper set pattern for every day, I think so I asked this question to my daughter, and I told her that the government is planning to cut down or ban online, and she said, no, 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 I love learning, and I love seeing my teachers every day, and I love seeing my friends every day. Because she's like, otherwise, mama, what do I do? It's the rainy season, there is COVID-19, you cannot go down, you cannot play, right? And children, Shaista, if you know, and I'm sure you know, research is proving that kids are suffering from depression because there is nothing to keep their mind occupied. So when they are learning something, I mean, I have used this time to learn every day, and I know how motivated it has kept me, because it empowers you, right? Every time I learn something, it empowers me, it makes me feel empowered, so the depression factor doesn't come in. Similarly for kids, and most kids are introverts, they cannot even express if they are feeling depressed, and they have much better relationships with their teachers than their parents. Sorry parents, I know you'll hate me, but I have seen that children confide much more in their teachers than they do in parents, and they idolize their teachers, and they're so happy. So I feel that this whole ban thing is completely not the alternative. If there is anything, it should be taking into confidence the parents, the educators, and then maybe a 50-50 solution of, maybe, okay, if they feel 6 to 8 hours is too much, then maybe a 4 to 5 hour, or maybe a 4 hour could be a ideal solution. But I don't think a total ban, because what are children going to do in the monsoon, sitting at home for and we don't even know when it is going to open up. What are they going to do for 3 to 6 months? Forget the fees, forget the educators, forget how the schools will run. What are the children going to do when their parents are busy on Zoom calls trying to save their jobs so that they get a salary? What are the children going to do? If the parents can answer this question to me, then I think I will accept what they're saying.
Right. So, a lot of very relevant points that you're bringing out, and I'm sure you're giving all of us a lot of food for thought. But another question that I have for you, and this is something that is very real for many of us as schools, many of us who run schools, or the schools are facing at this point, is that, the schools are being looked on as, money-making organizations, and who are currently using the pandemic situation by bringing online classes as a way to take fees from parents, not really considering the plight, or taking the parents' plight into consideration whilst demanding that fees. So what is your take on that?
So Shaista, I would like to go a little personal on this. Okay, my mother was a teacher. Okay, and she used to give tuitions, and that's one more reason I lost her in 2017. That teaching is so close to my heart, because I really, while I was growing up, I saw how much pain my mother used to take for every kid to pass, because she was a tuition teacher. She was not even a school teacher. Okay. So I remember these days that when I was 9 year old, and you know very well when my father walked out on us when I was 9, okay, and I remember that as April and May used to approach, my mother used to have anxiety attacks. You know why? Because parents did not pay for April and May. They used to say, "Oh, but you're not taking tuitions in April and May, so why should we pay you?" And she would be like, "But I was teaching your kids the entire year. Plus, in April and May, I will be preparing their next syllabus." So it was as a child, from a child's perspective. Now you imagine a 9 year old. So for April and May used to be fun time for every parent and every kid. But for us, for me and my brother, it used to be very anxious times, because I used to be like, okay, we're not going to get paid. So how do we survive in these 2 months? Right? That's the perspective I wanted to give. That teachers play a very, very important role. Even if for the parents, they may seem like they're not working in the vacation, they do check papers, they do create reports, they're checking exam papers, they're working for the next year. A teacher's job never ends even after school. I am holding a lot of webinars now, and I teach a lot of entrepreneurs how to run their business. And believe me, I am studying every day for 4 to 5 hours, because if I don't teach, how am I going to? If I don't learn, how am I going to teach? So education in school is so different. I mean, teachers have to, even after they go home, they still have to, study, and they still have to create a lot of course material for the next day, more so in Montessori schools. So if parents are not going to take that view while saying, okay, we are not going to pay fees, and you are a money making machine. Okay, now speaking from the parent side, as I said, parents are also not getting full salaries, right? There are a lot of people who've been asked to take pay cuts. There are a lot of people who've been asked to let off their job. Now, again, I would request the schools that if there can be a concession in the timelines. So instead of taking all the money at one go, because anyways, you're not paying your teachers all at one go. You're also paying monthly. So if you could, devise a quarterly system or a monthly system, if the buses are not running, if you can pass on that discount. See, I feel an open dialogue can solve so many things. What if the teachers and what if the principal of every school sits down with the whatever parents you have, 300, on Zoom call, and just find out. See, teachers love their students, parents love their kids. It's all for the kids, right? That there is no debate there, right? So if we all sit down, and if we can work out a situation where it's good for both parties. Okay, I'm sure an ideal situation will never come out, but even an 80-20 percentage is not bad enough, and I think that will work for both. I mean, tomorrow, if your school is so beautiful, if it were to shut down because parents were not ready to pay the fees, who, I mean, you will go back to your life, you'll probably start another school. But tell me, all those kids who are studying in your school, whose loss is it? At the end of the day, it's the kids' loss, because there will be such a break, and they have had an association with you, they have formed an association with their teachers, their relationship will suffer with the school. And so I feel the situation is not such that you cannot reach a mutual point. It's just a matter of actually taking both points in consideration, and that's why I wanted to bring that point out. And I've written a Facebook post also long back, where I said exactly the same thing, that parents think, oh, my children have learned and they are not going to school in April and May, so we don't need to pay. But we don't see what is the back end, preparation that goes into running a school and being a teacher. So whoever is listening to this, I think a thought should be given to that.
Great. Thank you for pointing that out, Shabia. So do you have any advice for the school managements right now who are struggling hard to survive this pandemic? Any advice that you want to give them?
See, I'm completely, I mean, I run a natural skincare brand, right? Even during the pandemic, I will tell you that though we were not able to deliver because Mumbai is in the red zone, my customers were ordering from the website and they were paying money. And there was what, I mean, it was not much, but the money was coming in the bank. And it was such a good feeling that your customers were ready to wait for your orders. They were not switching to another brand which was delivering, or that's always the kind of support every school, every industry, or every business likes, right? And who are the real supporters for a school? The parents, right? So I would suggest that instead of thinking of shutting down, or really I mean, if a loan can help you to tide over this difficult phase, you can take a small loan to pay your salaries for your teachers. The other thing is, yes, to devise new mechanisms to teach. So I also because I have started doing this a lot, that if online teaching is not necessarily always screen time, right? There could be a lot of time when the children are doing self work with the screens off. Okay, podcasts are a great way. where the children don't necessarily have to have the screen on, they can just be listening to audio, right? So if they can devise new methods, templates and worksheets which can be given to the parents, which parents can download and give it to the kids to completely without screen time, so there are different ways of using the screen time doesn't mean that if I sit at 8 in the morning in front of the screen, I will only get up at 3 o'clock,
Yeah.
right? Interspersed with physical exercises. And I think what will really work is if they can take the parents into confidence, have an orientation with them. But see, let's not blame the parents too, because the parents are also very new to this situation. They are doing jhadu, pocha, bartan, office Zoom calls. Look pretty in front of the Zoom call with all the hair grown out. There are frustrations of parents, plus handling their kids at home all the time. So they are also dealing with a lot of stuff. But if like our school did this, okay, they did an orientation with us where they told us how exactly it is going to pan out, how the kids were going to move from one class to the other, how they would have a lot of physical exercise, how they can shut the screen and still keep just the audio on and keep doing their self work. So, and how there would be breaks after every presentation. So if those kind of things are worked out and explained to the parents, I think, see, the fear of the unknown is what makes you take bad decisions, I feel. Once you make it known that what exactly are you planning to do, and if the parents have any doubts and you can clear them off very convincingly, then as I said earlier, that maybe there won't be 100% conversion, but there'll definitely be an 80% conversion. At least we'll be able to manage 80% of the parents who will be convinced. It's not that our children have not been accustomed to the screen. We have always, our children have been doing research on the laptop, okay, because encyclopedias no more give all the information. Our children are very okay with, like my daughter sets up all my Zoom calls when I'm busy, okay. She knows how to make WhatsApp calls, Zoom calls, she sets up, she knows how to make PPTs. So it's not that they are not, and the world is moving towards technology. So what are we fearing so much? I mean, if you're so this about, you have an anti-glare screen, get them the anti-glare laptop, get them noise cancelling headphones. I mean, see, for every problem there is a solution today. We are living in better times, right? It's not like those old times when you had to study when there was no lantern. Now there was no light. Even then your eyesight could have suffered, right? There was no
Yeah.
electricity. You were telling your child, sit in the bulb light and study. You were not
Yeah.
that time that they go black. Now, when there is light and electricity and anti-glare and everything, you are saying, no, 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 don't look at the screen. So I find a little bit of contradiction there. I think everything can be worked around it. I would rather have my child engaged than just sitting and staring out of the window or looking at the, at least this is interactive. This is interactive screen time. Teachers are talking to them, giving them food for thought, telling them to think something. When they watch TV, it's just one-sided. They are just looking at it, my kid is doing book reading, so they are reading books when they have free time, then they are discussing that. So there's so much of thing. And frankly, when I in the kitchen, when I'm washing the utensils and listening to my daughter respond to the teacher, I'm actually happy that these things are happening from home, because when they were going to school, you couldn't know what they were learning and you didn't know how your child was answering or not answering. But now I actually know that, oh wow, my daughter knows this thing, oh, she has this perspective, I never thought of that. So in that sense, it's nice. It's like having the school in your house and also getting a reaction of whether your child is smart or not. So, I would request all parents to actually take this in the correct perspective, and in fact, call for a meeting with the teachers if you're not understanding how the whole online, and it is the educator's responsibility also to explain it to the parents in a very, very simple manner. And I'm sure there'll
Right.
be.
Right. Yeah. Conversation and open communication is the key, like
Yeah.
you rightly point out. Do you have any advice for the parents with the whole fee debate thing right now?
So as I said, see, and this is all I always advocate, right? That if you don't ask, you cannot, someone cannot give you, right? Even a mother does not give milk to a child till the child cries, right? You're not feeding the child on your own. When the child cries, you come to know, oh, it's hungry. So I feel people who are really struggling, like there may be parents who might be have lost their job, okay, or had a pay cut, or it maybe only now one spouse is working. It can happen. So I am saying reach out to the school, like reach out to the principal. So for every probably 15 people who can pay without any grudge or in any struggle, if there is one parent who cannot pay the whole amount right now, I think the school should also then take that into regard and say, fair enough, we will take it in 2 installments, or we can do a monthly EMI for you. Like earlier, when we used to go to school, it was always a monthly fee. It was never a yearly fee that becomes a huge cost. So So I feel that parents should ask. I think there's a bit of a ego and a self-respect there which gets hurt when you want to call up your principal and say, listen, I can't pay. But I think if we are struggling, now is the time to, and that's the whole debate also after the depression thing and the suicides we are hearing of, that people do not ask for help, and the people who can sense that are also not offering help. So it's both sides, right? In fact, I feel even educators can reach out to the parents saying that if anyone has a genuine reason, like if you can show us a proof saying you've lost your job or something, we'll be willing to make some concessions. I think for every, even Shaista as a principal, if 15 people can pay you the whole amount, I'm sure you can do a concession for one parent who cannot pay. But the thing is that parents have to ask. The principal is not going to get a dream that you are struggling. So let's keep our egos aside. And I know some parents have done that in our setup also, who have reached out to the school and said, we've not been able to pay the entire amount now. So can we get a month's extension? I mean, we've all gone to banks. I've gone to bank and said that I cannot pay the loan for 3 months because my business is at a halt, and taken the moratorium. So as far as my child is concerned, I'm happy to, go to my school and say that I cannot pay or I can pay. And I also feel that parents who can actually pay more, who have no struggle of finances, can actually help the school, saying that you can take the next quarter fees also in advance, so that it, I know in my building society, some people are not paying, but the people who are well off, they have gone and said, okay, we will, instead of paying only for this month, we will pay for the next 6 months also, so that the society keeps functioning smoothly. Now again, see, it's all a matter of dialogue. If a parent comes to you and says, I'm in difficulty, then only you'll give a solution. So again, talk is the answer, I think.
Okay, and my final question to you is, do you think schools should be opening anytime soon?
Okay, here I'm going to be very, very frank, and this is a very personal opinion. I mean, I can be wrong, I can be right. People may support me, not support me. I feel that, in schools, because the number of kids would be more. I know in Montessori schools, the number is lesser. But again, if that rule comes out, it will be a blanket rule, right? They are not going to
Yes.
say, okay, only Montessori schools open. So there are schools where there are 50 to 60 kids in every class. And I feel adults, are very careful of, okay, even adults are not sometimes, but adults are still careful of, okay, I have a cold, so I will not go to office, use the sanitizer, wear the mask. But I feel kids, especially the younger ones, might not be able to take all these preventive measures in schools. And how much will the teacher also keep an eye on everyone? Oh, you have a cold, so you don't touch. And children are not still in that phase of, oh, let's not hold hands or let's not hug each other. It's more of a natural reaction for them. So I feel social distancing will suffer if schools open. So personally, as a mother, I am very happy if she learns online for as many months as it's required. I don't think I will be very comfortable sending her to school till a vaccine or some such alternative comes out, because I feel it is very unfair also on my part to think that it is the teacher's responsibility in school to keep my child away from other kids. So I think we're putting a lot of responsibility there also. So it's better that till the time the vaccine or any such solid alternative comes out, children learn online for as many hours as the parents and the teachers are comfortable. And only when the vaccine comes out and we are in a better situation, Mumbai especially, we are in the red zone. And how, I mean, there's no question any parent is going, like everybody is saying we are okay, letting the whole year go. I mean, we're okay to pay the fees, but we're not like dying to. Ultimately, I mean, what is more important, life or the certification of the school that your child has completed a course? So I am personally of the belief that schools should not open till we have a solid vaccine in place. But
Great.
I am online education. Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much for talking to us on Educators Speak, Shabia. It was indeed a pleasure. And conversation with you today was such an eye-opener. Thank you so much for this.
Thank you, Shaista. It was really fun. And, I think the difficult part is always to, while my heart lies with teachers, I'm also a parent. So, but yeah, I think having seen both sides of it, schools are not something that should shut down. No industry should shut down, but I think our entire future of our kids lie there. So no good school, for that matter, any school. Anyways, there are very few schools per student in our country. So schools should not shut down. And I'll be very happy if parents and educators together can come out with a middle path.
Great. All right, everyone, that's all I have for today's session of Educators Speak. Look out for our next session where we will have a conversation with yet another insightful educator on yet another insightful topic. So until next time, stay home, stay safe, and most importantly, stay positive. Bye-bye.